Today we're going to be polishing some rocks. The first step in polishing rocks that I use is a tile saw. I use it to cut and shape the rock. That was last video. Let's have a look at what we've got and what we're working with. This is the most rocks that I've ever polished. So I've got 20 rocks, 20 pieces, Agates Chalcedony, Amygdaloidal Basalt, Galaxy Stone, some beautiful Rhyolite, and even some freeform polishes. It was a long time. It took about 8 hours for one day of polishing and 5 hours for the next. It does take a lot less time on just one rock. I'd say one piece would take about a good hour and a half, 2 hours of nice sitting there in the sun, polishing your rocks, listening to a podcast or whatever your favorite music. And it is really actually relaxing. From that first time you saw it in the creek to when you've polished it, it really finishes up that whole cycle of experiencing rockhounding and lapidary stuff at home. There are so many different ways and tools that you can use to polish rocks. I'm using a rotary polisher. It's got a variable speed, and it also has an attachment where you can use these diamond polish pads that range from a grit of 50 up to 3000. The 3000 comes up with a beautiful polish, but there are ways you can polish it even further, and I'll get into that a bit later. The most important pad to start with is the first pad. That's where most of the work's going to be done. First step is water. I add soap to this water, just a little bit, because that breaks the surface tension. I learned all of this stuff from Kevin Nix on his channel, and also from Rob from Michigan Rocks. Basically, you dip the rock, place it on the sander, and keep moving it around. Once you see it start to dry out, you dip it again, get a bit more water, and repeat. Basically, you don't want that water to get into the workings of the machine, so you just use a little bit. Once it's dry, that's when you can see any scratches left over from the previous round. Then you just rinse and repeat. That first 50 grit pad is the one that's going to be doing most of the work. That's why it's so important to get those cuts on the tile saw nice and clean, so you've got a nice flat face. A flat rock is so much easier to polish on these things than a round one or one with curves. It's also good to remember that different rocks have different hardnesses, so the Chalcedony and agates are a lot harder than this piece, the Rhyolite, meaning the time it takes to polish each rock will vary depending on its hardness and the different shape that you've created. Even though you're using water, there is a lot of dust that you won't really see until it dries off, so it's always important to use a dust mask or a respirator to protect yourself from silicosis. Other than that, I think I covered everything, and you basically sit back, relax, and get your polish on. For most of my videos, the 3000 grit pad has actually brought up a perfect polish, and I haven't even done any extra polishing to it with polishing compound apart from one time, and it didn't really go so well. Needless to say, I didn't know what I was doing. I'm still a rookie. So using the help from the comments on that video, an old piece of leather, some Velcro pads and some super glue, I've come up with a plan to make my own polishing pad and see how that works. The plan is by using the suede side of the leather, I should have a soft surface to mix up some tin oxide with some water into a slurry, rub that into the pad, and hopefully achieve just that little bit more of a better polish on the rocks. The only thing I need to really work on is my grip. Now that the rocks are all polished, let's take a look at them, but I think we need to change the scenery. Ready? It worked. I'm down by the creek. I had to do it. Just been camping, excuse the dirty nails, I'm sorry. But let's have a look at the rocks. I thought it'd be really nice to show off some of the polish in the natural area where I found them from. Let's go with this guy first. He's beautiful. He is a plume agate, I'm pretty sure. It's got just beautiful plumes in there. All the way down the bottom, there's a little bit of waterline that goes around that bottom corner. It's just a stunning rock. This didn't take as good of a polish as what I was hoping, but I think that's just because the basalt isn't as silicated, or it's a little bit more degraded than some of the others. But yeah, he turned out pretty nice. Turned out pretty nice. I do have a better piece of Amygdaloidal Basalt, that bit there. What a beauty. And you can see that basalt was more silicated, or silicified, I think is the word. Just beautiful. Tons of little baby agates in there. This is what Agate Dad termed as the galaxy stone, and it really does fit. They all look like beautiful little planets stuck in time. This also has a little bit of crystals in there, just there. Nuts. Little crystal thing. I'm not sure what that is. Maybe olivine, I think. Yeah, that's a beautiful one. Now there's a couple that didn't turn out as good as what I wanted. I didn't know what I was doing with them. I sort of was just cutting bits off here and there to see what was inside them. It was a bit more of an exploring thing. But look, it's worth it. I did end up polishing them. You can see all the pitting in there. But inside it is little tiny agate lines and stuff. There's a little tinge of blue to the Chalcedony in there. I was hoping that it would fill out somewhat on the inside, but the more I cut it, the more it just stayed the same. There's that one, and then this little bad boy with the light blue Chalcedony in there from another video. Oh, it's pretty. It's a combination of Chalcedony and opal. Pretty. These two though, look at that. Beautiful, beautiful. People were commenting that these look like Stairway to Heaven, and it's not wrong. Just pretty. Real subtle, real light bands, but very nice. And then this side tends to show them more. There are some cracks that are going through there, and I'm not sure if that's just the stone's weaker or in there. I don't know. But it kind of adds to the effect. A little bit of stuff going on. Pretty little agates. And they just look like Chalcedony nodules on the outside. I played around with this guy. He's just a little knobby nodule. I gave him a polish on one of them. You can see some crystals on the inside. And there was a chip here, so I just polished that out nice and flat. Just to make sure the whole rock was a nice little piece. I like the dark green left by the basalt. This guy's pretty. This one has a little tinge of blue, and like when I cut it, looking at it square on, it doesn't look like much. It sort of looks a bit milky. But you can see the lines appear. See if I can do it better. See how the lines appear there? So that's Waterline with a nice light blue outer Chalcedony bit. So there's bands going around there as well. These bands are very subtle in these agates. Really, really subtle. There's not as much different mineral stuff going in there to change the color of the stone. So these are just real light white, oh, hard to see, little bands. Pretty though. I like how you can see in through it. And that side as well, nice little tunnel. Let's check out some Rhyolite. This is one of my favorite pieces of Rhyolite that I've found. It's just beautiful, different colors in there. It's like a Picasso painting. This was from another video. I polished the bottom. Just pretty, but this side is what gets me the most. There's so much to look at in there. There's a little crystal pocket in this little bubble, which looks like it's mixed with some basalt. I don't know if that happens, but probably not. But you can see how silicified or silicated the Rhyolite is, because it took that beautiful polish compared to the rough on the outside. One of my favorite pieces. The two little beautiful carnelian agates. Look at that. Look at that. There's not much to say about it. Just look at that. Someone said this one looks like a rocket taking off, or like a shooting star over the ocean. There's bands going around the outside and horizontally as well. It's just sweet. So sweet. This is another one that was a nodule that I was real stoked about. I didn't expect to see what I did inside, and it's just stunning. It's strange, but beautiful. Look at that. It's got agate bands all the way around the outside. Crystal pocket there, and then the bands come and meet in the middle. Isn't it beautiful? Just stunning. Look at that one. It's unique. Couple more to go. Now this guy I didn't film, but then I noticed when I got it home, cleaned it up, there's that light green there. So I'll give it a little rub on the saw, and look at that. Look at the details in there. You got crystal on the top here, water level with different thicknesses and qualities to it. Then you got the outer shell, which was green agate. But just nuts. Could you imagine that all the way around? Ugh. Now to the freeform. Oh, it's hard. These are the ones that took me the longest time, but they turned out beautiful. Have a look. This is the one with the wormy bits in it, and it just is nuts. You can't see them too well, but you can through there. What a beautiful specimen. Now I don't know. Oh, it just looks so cool. Little plumes or something, or tubes, maybe tube agate. And I'm glad I didn't cut it. I feel like you'd lose some of the quality of what's going on in there to look at anyway. Not as good of a polish on this one, and I just think it's because of its shape, but I am really happy with how this one turned out. Just, yeah, just beautiful. There's not too much going on there. There's waterline going through it, but that's the first proper big nodule without any cuts that I polished by hand, and it took a really nice polish. There's no scratches on there. Obviously it's going to look better with a lot more sun, but you know, these bits I couldn't polish down into. They just kept coming apart because of the different textured material in there. But look, it is what it is. Yeah, it's cool. It reminds me of a planet, just like in the Galaxy Stone. You can see the shine off it. You can see the trees. I love it. I absolutely love it. Thank you for coming along. I hope you learned something. If you have anything that you can think of that I should be doing differently, please let me know in the comments, and I will see you in 2 weeks' time. I wish I could get out rockhounding more. I'm going to be trying to a bit more with Benny and that, but until next video, happy hounding, much love, and I will see you then. Bye.